Well, my
Sure,
son, my
I
son
got
just
that.
took off with
What?
his vehicle, never
I got
noticed
the
that my
picture with the
pocketbook was
Girl
still
Scout.
in it, ready for me to take off in, and
The plate and all.
I had to call him at church and say,
I'm
get
gonna run
yourself
that.
back over here in a hurry.
That's right.
Run that.
I gotta have my keys
With
to get
you?
my
Me?
recorder.
Me,
The
Russia.
other stuff I couldn't.
Hi, Mike.
Morris, how are you today?
You got one of these for...
First,
Should have right there.
I grabbed what was in that box.
Easy, Bones. You didn't. Somebody good did that. That's it. That's it. Okay, you ready, Madam Clerk? You up to speed? Up to ready to go?
I think.
Okay. All right. I'll call the August meeting of the Town of Granby Board. Town of Granby Town Board meeting to order and salute the flag, please, and join me in that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Best.
Here.
Counselor Cervello.
Here.
Counselor Anthony. Here. Counselor Cabone.
Here.
Counselor Greco, absent. Budget Director Lyman.
Here.
And Highway Superintendent Marshall.
Here.
Your tape recorder's now.
Thank you.
That's right. Roll's been called. Thank you, Madam Clerk. You got it? Okay. Entertain a motion of the minutes.
Oh, I'll make a motion to dispense with the reading of the previous minutes and accept them as written.
I'll second.
Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Pass, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
Communication petitions.
From the New York State and local retirement systems. Dear employer, legislation has been signed by the governor that amends Chapter 12 of the laws of 1995 to provide counties, cities, towns, and villages greater flexibility in administering the Retirement Incentive Program. This amendment changes the Targeted Retirement Incentive Program by removing the requirement that the positions of targeted employees be eliminated. Employers would now be able to fill the targeted position if the employer has developed a plan that demonstrates a minimum of 50% savings in the retirement employee's base salary over the 2-year period following the retirement of the targeted employees.
Okay. The targeted employees on that happen to be the two-town justice and look under the next page there. Next one after that is a printout.
You, Marshall?
No, here's this printout right here. Right here.
Oh, there it is. Marjorie Fuller,
And Bob, yeah, the three of them is
Winkworth,
Winkworth
Fox.
and Fox and Bob Lyman. To make the incentive work, you'd have to take and cut their wages 50%. Okay. All right.
Okay, from the New York State Department of State. It is my pleasure to inform you that the $1.469 million of the Environmental Protection Fund money is available for local waterfront revitalization programs. The Environmental Protection Fund is a continuing source of dedicated funds for the environmental protection, enhancement, and stewardship. From Alexander Treadwell. This is from Douglas Cooper. Dear Mr. Best, please accept this letter as my application for the vacant position on the planning board. I would appreciate hearing from you. And from,
Who was that from?
do you want more information about
No,
it?
that's okay. We'll take and have to meet on it anyway.
From Dennis C. Vacco, Attorney General. Dear government entity, it is my pleasure to inform you that on May 10th, 1995, Federal District Court Judge James Robertson granted final approval to an antitrust settlement obtained on your behalf by my office. As a result of this settlement, all state and local governmental entities will receive a 10% discount off domestic air travel expenses when purchasing an airline ticket on one of the airlines listed in the enclosed notice when they're on official business.
Okay, any other communications? No petitions, okay. Under old business, we have a letter from CT Mail Associates that are given a review and report to the Lake Neonawana Reclamation Committee and a report as to their activities to date. They have areas in Bullhead Point and the waterfront that they're looking at, the areas of wetland they're looking at, the utility infrastructure that's available for the proposed development along the city properties. Environmental hazards liability review was performed for the subject site, and it appears the subject site is relatively clean in this regard. And the State and Historical and Preservation Office is called regarding the site historical significance, and that, at this time they haven't resolved that. But they're doing the study. There's $20,000 that's been allocated from that to that budget from the Lake Committee at this time, and the Lake Committee just received another $50,000 for use for the lake from Senator Wright benefit area. The Ox Creek weed harvesting, the area within the confines of Ox Creek that had been previous harvests were done. It took about 2 days for them to operate in there and clean up the areas that we had previously harvested, and they moved to the east side of Route 48 in the mouth of Ox Creek, and they're finishing up there today. They'll be moving out tomorrow. I don't know exactly the total amount, but they've been there for 2 weeks, and in the workload that they did. They didn't do it by the acre, they did it by the hour for the equipment rather than the acre, because the area within the Ox Creek area, like I say, they did that in 2 days over there. It was real quick in cleaning up what was there. Highway contract summary, someone inquired about that last month, and we have provided that. And summary of the 1995 changes of highway contract, the town board and highway department personnel signed a 2-year contract agreeing on the following changes. A 5% increase in base wages over a 2-year period covered 3% in 1995, increases base to $12.56 per hour, and 2% in 1996 increases base to $12.81 an hour. And also an increase in base wage for part-time employee from $6 to $8, with retiree increases from $7.65 to $9 an hour. A 50% reduction in personal time to 40 hours per year. Unlimited sick time for specific reasons as defined by the contract, with documentation required for any absence of 2 or more consecutive days. 2 lump sum payments of $300 each for February 95 and February 96 to each full-time highway employment in consideration of change in sick and personal time benefits. Addition of bereavement leave, 3 days for immediate family members, and stipulation contract negotiations begin no later than September 1 of contract year ending. No change were made regarding work hours, work week, duty work rules, regulations, termination of employment, preservation of benefits clause, and any other benefits including seniority pay, overtime pay, holiday pay, vacation, and medical benefits. Anybody else have any other old business? I don't have any that other than the fact that our work session, when question was asked about the EDZ zone, I have conversed with the Jeff Hodges from the city of Fulton. He's providing us with a itinerary of requirements for the EDZ zone. They did meet in June. The board of directors for the EDZ zone, which includes Fulton and Volney, agreed that the town of Granby should be considered for any project to be considered an additional EDZ zone, and they will provide us with the information that's needed. They didn't forward that information to us in June, and when I called today, Jeff was apologetic about the fact he didn't give it to us, but that was brought up at that meeting in a work session. Any other old business anybody wants to bring up or anything? There being none new business, we've got a energy efficiency program with cost agreements between the Power Authority of the State of New York and the town of Granby. And what we have is a proposal from the State of New York to enter an agreement with the town of Granby for a review of our energy uses and analysis of them, and to provide us a consideration of savings we would have in a different use of the energy, or different facilities use the energy, motors and so on, maybe a change in lighting systems. It would cost nothing for the audit, and the only thing would be we would enter an agreement to have them look at it and give us an analysis, and if we decided that we wanted to do something, they would provide us with a cost of benefit ratio, and the results of that would be the determining factor for the town board to make a decision. I would entertain a motion to enter in contract with the Power Authority of the State of New York for the analysis. And like I said, there was no commitment to doing whatever they recommended. It would have to be after they provided the cost-benefit ratio and whether or not the town board wanted to do it.
I make a motion that we get an agreement with the Power Authority and have a survey done.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? Presentation took about 10 minutes last week, and we reviewed the options we have to consider just for the analysis. Any other discussion? None, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, Madam Clerk. We have a new one here on our agenda that come as of courtesy from the City of Fulton. The Chocolate Fest has a fireworks display that's going to be presented on the 12th at 10:15. It turns out that the fireworks display is going to be placed on the Knapp Farm off on Lakeshore Road, and that obviously is in the town of Granby. So what they need is a license for that. What we need to do is have the approval of the town board for the fireworks display and approval of fire chief, and then it'll be signed and issued to the applicant. The applicant is Atlas Advanced Pyrotechnics, and out of Jeffrey, New Hampshire. They have provided a oh my God, here someplace. They have a liability insurance package that covers their thing, and they also have an explosive license. And that information is down to the City of Fulton right now, but we will get that before we finalize it. The question is, not only does the town board approve it, but also we should set some fee for the licensing. I didn't, in the conversation with the city clerk, didn't have an opportunity to ask him that number, but I would presume that the special license display of fireworks deserves a value, some number, and I don't know what we would put on it, but I would think probably you could go as high as $50 for a license for that day if you wanted to. I don't know exactly what else is to say about it, because you're going to have fire departments involved.
Yeah. What was the date again, Jim?
August 12th at 10:15. That's this Saturday. Any suggestions on that fee? I just...
Sounds all right to me.
Unless you want to go 100, I mean, anything do extra.
Yeah, well, no, we don't have it in the fee structure, and like I say, I just got a hold this afternoon, and I was more interested in knowing where the town's responsibility lay as far as a permit goes. And basically what you're doing is you're securing a liability insurance from them and making the town a payer for it, a signer for it, so that you're covered in case of something happening, and they have their license to use explosives. And that's the only thing that I would be concerned about. I don't see anything else on it. We would contact the insurance company tomorrow and make sure we're all set. If anything else happens.
It's on the NAP.
Nap property, on the shoreline, yeah. I don't know exactly where down there, but that's what's going on. Does anybody have any objection to a fee of $100 and approval for a license to the this firm for the display?
100 or 50?
You're going 100 or 50? You said 50?
I said, you want 50, you go 100 if you want. I'd take 100. So,
You can get it 100, get it 100.
Okay.
Why not?
well, I'm assuming that we're going to have some responsibility for that.
I'd say go 100.
Okay. If something happens, I'll do something about it, but I would think. Okay, with $100, would you make it a motion?
Excuse me,
Yeah.
for discussion, is there still aircraft parked?
Yeah, we're just talking about
We
it.
were talking about that.
We would take and
Oh,
make sure they're aware of it.
Tomorrow, because I've been there every day.
One
We
of those
make
things
sure
that
that we're-
would
yeah.
have a few problems.
We don't need to have them shoot them out of the,
Fire.
we don't need them shoot out of the water. Aircraft,
You might mention that to him, Jim.
yeah, I will. That it's west of them, right? They'll be on a Knapp property, which is down the road.
Well,
Quite a
describe
ways.
where
Yeah.
her property is in relation to where their property is.
Can I have a motion on
I'll make that
to
motion.
allow the applicant of Atlas Advanced Pyrotechnics to have a fire display in the town of Granby and a fee of $100 for the display?
I'll make that.
A second.
Okay, motion made in second. Any discussion about it? No other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passed, Madam Clerk. Okay, I'm going to put that one in. That's that. The, committee of town officials, the only thing that, Federal Board of Operating ZBA did meet, and they did finally get the paperwork into the town clerk and a denial for the property on Bingham Road, prior property. That sets in motion the fact that they'll be given notice of the violation and ordered to correct it, and the operation will proceed from there. Assessors, I don't have anything too much other than the fact that assessors are preparing for a lawsuit that Nargamock has on the properties in the town of Granby. They've asked for reduction in assessment. It turns out to be quite a reduction, and we have a court case on the 24th of August that we have to respond to. Historic cemeteries, the cemeteries have been pretty well maintained this summer. We had the situation with the dry period, and they've met the obligations as far as the cemetery's lawn cutting has been. Planning board, I don't have anybody from the planning board here, but zoning board and zoning officer and building inspector. Let's see if I got his report. I don't think so. No. I have the dog control officer's report. Number of complaints on July is 19. Number of dogs picked up 9. Number of dogs destroyed 0. Number of dogs released 10. Number of dogs on hand 4. Monthly expenses are advertising with $3. There's no food costs this month because the CT Supply had some dog food that they wanted to take out of the store because they were changing brands, I guess. And, or not changing brands, there was a date line on it, and they donated it to the town of Granby's dog control officer's use. So we're saying something, we have 348 miles of travel, no impoundment fees. Building administration, we just had a review of the buildings by the state, our state association insurance people. And
Excuse me a minute, on the dog ordinance, control officer, I've had some people ask me about the leash law. We know, of course, that's illegal to have an unleashed dog. Some of them wondered if it was possible to either one or two things, to advertise the fact that we have the leash law and the consequences, or if a letter should be sent out by the town clerk because of the licensing, they have the addresses of all the dog owners. I would think the advertising would be cheaper. Is it, I'm not sure which way.
if you desire to have a notice of, you're going to have dog licensing coming up next month, I mean, when the dog license, I know, I got a little conversation about that with Marjorie about the game license coming out, and dogs renewal comes up too at the same time, do they?
Dogs are renewed every month.
Okay, all right. What we can do is we can, if you want to advertise it, we'll take and run an ad.
That's
if the
the
board
most
agrees.
economical way is notify all the owners, and that
What's the leash law?
I
Oh,
just
yeah.
feel that it's a lot of people have felt that they should be somehow revitalize the fact that this is a law that requires the leash law, and that there's consequences because there is dogs running, and
Well, we've pretty well, we've had quite a bit of activity where the dog control officer has brought people to court after several warnings and so on. The court hasn't done anything other than to dismiss the cases from the standpoint of they don't lay any fines or anything. It does create a problem for the dog controller because she makes the effort to go out and get people and document the fact that dogs are running loose, and document the fact that she has notified them 2 or 3 times that that's happened, that they can't do it anymore. And then when she finally files a complaint with the court, the action of the court hasn't been to fine anybody. They just said, well, don't do it again. So we can advertise the leash law.
can I ask why? Is there a reason?
I'm not the court. I don't
No,
know.
I mean, is the law itself not strong enough, or why?
No, it's agricultural law. It's the state of New York agricultural law that you're working with. It isn't,
Why wouldn't there be a fine?
well, the judge has that in his prerogative. But anyway, that's one of the problems that happened with the leash law, that after Gail has done all the things she has to do, that nothing has made it so that people recognize they really got a problem. Other than the fact they had to come to court. That's my airing of it today. Matter of fact, I asked a question, and I didn't really want to ask the question after I found out what the answer was, because it become pretty involved in what was going on. But in reality, it's the fact that people are having charges placed against them for loose dogs, and they're being brought to court. That's what's happening. But if you want to advertise a leash law, or whatever we have to take and do that we're operating under, I have no problem with that.
Well, my
Sort of
feeling
thing.
is that there is complaints out there, and I just wonder what we're doing. Apparently, we're bringing them to court, and I guess my other answer would be until we know why. Well, if someone got fined a few times, it maybe wouldn't be quite so prevalent.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's happened with the rabies thing is that it made it more prudent to keep the dogs under control. I mean, it really, no one knows what's going on, and if a dog had to be out in the field and so on, and does have some potential of having contact with rabies, that even increases the threat to individuals. So I have no, if the board so desires, we can take and investigate and provide a advertisement of the local dog.
Well, I think some action should be taken one way or another. Why aren't they getting fined? I think my answer would be, I don't know. This is something, maybe
Well,
that's the first step
I'll inquire.
before we spend money.
I'll inquire. Okay. I'll inquire from the court. Let's see what we got. Senior citizen growth.
Nothing.
Okay. Highway superintendent.
Yeah, did we get a name on this road next door here yet?
No, haven't done that yet.
We do every fall, we have to file an inventory of our
Okay.
roads for the state, and we'll need a name and
Okay, let me get into that for our next meeting.
We should get that done before too long. Everything we've been paving and just doing our summer work.
That's it? Everything up to par? Well, the one thing that has happened in the last month is, obviously, is we've had the 2 or 3 different times we've had storms hit, and I mentioned last time, but also we've had circumstances where our personnel have been out for the highway taking trees down on that have crossed the road and so on, town roads particularly. That's our responsibility, and generally you've been doing that. You've had probably, what, 4 or 5 incidents the last 4 weeks?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not completely done with that yet. There's still a few places where we should go back and clean them up.
Yeah. And we've seen some places where we've got trees that are damaged that, for whatever reason, nobody's taking care of them. They're near the road boundaries, and there's other trees holding them up. We're very concerned about that, so we're looking into them problems too. Let's see, I got senior citizens.
Nothing.
Nothing really? Okay. Youth and recreation, Tony.
I should have some dates this Friday. I'll bring them in to Kathy so we can get them in the paper.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, and again, on the funding of the youth program, just as soon as we get this next one in, we'll file for the funding with it. Budget officer.
You want to give Vince?
Yeah.
Did you notice that thing in
Okay,
there?
this is a statement of balances as of first week in August. Again, I'll only talk about the contractual expenses. Salaries are going to come down to 0 at the beginning of or at the end of the year anyway. In general, supervisor is down to 388, roughly balance in his account. Bookkeeper is down to $12. Next question I have, has anybody filed for assessment grievance?
We've
The
had
state
one,
hearing officer?
just one so far.
Just one. Okay, that's,
Yeah,
that's
other than the Naga Mohawk, just that one, yes, it's
No,
that
just
$25 deal. It'll be
Right.
hearing the 17th of this month.
okay. So that's in the middle.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Nothing on the first sheet else. Central storeroom. It's got 624 left in it. Let's see. Nothing else. So we get down. Street lighting is interesting. When the town board voted to have Niagara Mohawk put in different lights, and also this year to put in more lights, as I recall. They're very well maybe a savings. I posted this the other night, and for what it's worth, bill at the beginning of the year was, these are monthly numbers rounded off, 360, 351, 326, and they have started to go down since then, 323, 324, 318, and last July, 308. Now, granted, we've got more daylight now, but we may be seeing a savings there, which is what Niagara Mohawk offered to us in the beginning of the year. Okay, playgrounds and recreation, we got 11.45 left in that, so there should be plenty of money to take care of the new program. Since the Granby Center Fire Company had no field days this year, we haven't spent any money out of celebrations. Do we need flags this year or next year, or worry about it next year?
Well, I've got some flags left, but we won't have any reason other than maybe something September I'm going to talk about at the end of the meeting here for the Boy Scouts, but,
Cemetery
see.
flags.
Well,
you know, we got some of those, and we budget them in every year anyway, so
well,
we
this
can
is
pick
the
them up
account we
plenty of
buy
time.
them out of if we
Yeah.
need more, so all I'm
Yeah, we don't
saying
need
is
any there.
we haven't spent anything,
Uh,
it's up to you.
The, on the 19th of August, the veterans groups of the city have put together a, I thought I'd have a request for that tonight, but the veterans group in the Fulton area have put together a celebration of the, I call it recognition, I guess, of the 50-year anniversary of World War II ending, and as I understand, it's going to be quite a exhibit. I won't be here because I'll be out of town, but we're going to have the base commander of the Camp Drum, Fort Drum up there, present to be the keynote speaker. They're going to have several people who were in different groups, battle groups or organizations during World War II that are recognized by name that around the nation that are going to be here to speak also. In that realm, I talked to Ken Patrick. He is coordinating it totally, and there is an opportunity if the town of Granby so desires to look at that activity taking place to make a contribution to the activity. Basically, it would take and be maybe a couple $100, $300 towards that. Out of that tourism money would be a reasonable thing.
Well, that's the next question.
Well, I know. That's what I was going to say. Is that I normally don't get into that, but I know that they're putting a lot together, and they have got a list of about 60 to 80 people that they're responsible for feeding during that program up there. So I asked a representative from the VFW to take and provide me with a request, but I haven't received it. I thought I'd have that tonight. I have no objection to doing something like that. The tourism money is primarily there to take and support activity that's going on in the county. I haven't really keyed it into that kind of thing.
If we get a bill or something, that
Okay.
sounds great.
All right, well, anyway, if there's no objection to it, I will inquire as to that kind of support. I think that is a reasonable thing. I know you're going to have a fantastic flyover by the 174th, so that'll be something. And they've done a tremendous amount of work at the War Memorial Building in Fulton to get the memorial ready and the flagpoles up and stuff like that. So, go ahead, Bobby.
Okay, no, that's fine. So these are just items. Here we are over halfway through the year, and I just want to bring to the board's attention that for both celebration terms, we haven't spent appropriated funds yet. Building inspector, contractual, he's down to $264. I chatted with him the other night, and so he's aware of that. Now cemeteries, we paid two mowings. Do we have what, one more? Or-
You have one coming up
We have
in
Labor
September.
Day.
We signed today, bills.
Okay, so
There's four. They have the Flag Day. You'll have June 14th, and you have September or October, September Labor Day weekend.
Okay, medical insurance, we overran a little bit last year, but my projection right now for general is that we'll be in good shape as long as nobody else gets added to the coverage. So that's going to come out. We'll be okay there. So unless somebody has any questions on general, I'll move on to highway. Now we've got a forecasted list of items that for the CHIPS program from New York State, and it appears that they're going to short us about $3,000. So basically that's a wash account. We get so much money from the state and we spend so much money, we will never overrun it. And each year, several years now, it came out even, but now because of what the state legislature has done, we're going to have to spend about $3,000 less than what we have appropriated. Okay? Let's see, highway rate, he's in great shape. He still has the bulk of his work to do and all the material fees to come in. Let's see, and, have we gotten a bill or have you heard anything from Metropolitan Water?
Yeah, we have the bill, but we aren't gonna pay it until probably September.
Fine, be my guess.
We've always kept that till September. We didn't have any problem with, they don't have any problem until October because they really don't worry about it till that time.
Okay, I guess the only last thing is, Hamel Street Water. We have to make a decision about this money to
Yeah, we'll do that for the September meeting. We'll have to.
September. Okay.
I'll present something to the board as the action on that. Okay, that being the case, again, the highway department and the fire departments have taken real good care of the town highways under the emergency we've had for the last 4 weeks where these sudden storms come up. The Boy Scouts have got a tentative date of Saturday, the 30th of September, for a presentation of the new flag to the town board and to the town people. And we've set aside the community center for that, and they'll be developing a list of invitees that they would like to have, and they'll make that presentation on that time. The cow is in the flag. That's done, so that'll be on. The mining amendment update, we're still working on that. We're taking and having attempt to organize that under the state law, so it isn't as confusing. We'll need a date for to review the planning board applicant, and I won't be back here till the 23rd, so if there's any opportunity the 29th or the 30th to have a meeting to review that candidate, I have no problem of August. You'll have Labor Day weekend, the first part of September. Your board meeting's the 13th. We could probably wait to the 7th of September if you so desire.
What night, Jim?
Well, that'd be Thursday. The 7th of September would be Thursday. We could have a work session and an interview time at that time if you want.
All right.
I don't know of anything else that we have any reason to have action on in August right this moment, but I'll play it by ear on that. So September 7th be reasonable?
7 o'clock.
Yeah. 7 o'clock, yeah, okay. The other thing that will be happening, I'll be leaving Tuesday for Phoenix, Arizona. There's a memorial being established in Phoenix for the citizens of the area, of greater Phoenix area, that were residents that were in an air crash in 1987. And I happen to have some members of the family in that, so obviously I'll be down to it. The city of Phoenix is doing this at their city hall area, and if there's no objection, I would take and provide a letter of comment from the town on town letterhead for the city for their activity, their action that they're doing. If there's no objection, I'll do that. If there's an objection, I won't. All I'm going to say is thank you for the memories of the people from the greater Fulton area. We had a young lady from Fulton area and a young man and his family here from, well, a combination of family here from Fulton all together. With no objection, I'll compose a letter to provide that to the city. None, okay, I'll do that. The other things that...
Bill just came in, Jim, I don't know if you've seen him.
Who?
Planning board.
Oh, yeah, Bill, do you have anything you wanted to report on?
Well, we're pretty much up to date on all our site plan subdivision and so forth. And we've also done some updating of the ordinance itself as far as dates and that, and I think Kathy's working on that. putting that in the computer. But nothing pressing right now except the usual thing
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier.
Okay, well, the main thing is that there is some activity going on, and that's the main thing. There was information sent on the potential highway on the subdivision up here off on Route 8, and we haven't had an opportunity to do anything but discuss it because we're waiting for the final development of the road, right? And then we're in business. Okay. We've got the information as to the dimensions of the road and all that stuff, and the titles of it and all that stuff, right? You got that in your hand, right? Okay. That's in place. As far as I know. We'll know more about it when we take and check it out.
One question I want to ask. We want to wait till after the
Yeah,
meeting?
just a second. Just wait a minute until I get this told. We'll open up in just a minute. But that's the only thing that I know of right off the bat that we have hanging out there for an application for a road. Okay. Could I have a motion on the audit of the town bills? The general fund is $12,003.57. The highway fund is $945.96. I'll entertain a motion to combine them, with no objection.
I'll make a motion for general fund of $12,003.50, highway fund, $945.96.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Before
Pass.
you open the floor, I'd like to say something to Tony. Have you noticed that little greenhouse down on County Route 8, Tony? Have you noticed it's all cleaned up?
Is it?
All cleaned up, Tony.
No kidding.
I'm glad of that. But
All cleaned up.
It's about time.
that's it? You all set?
I mean, he complained and
I-
complained and
well,
complained.
I
It's
feel the
all
s-
cleaned up, Tony.
I feel the same way, but I don't know how it got there, but I'm
Is that a
pleased it
bad
did.
thing that it's cleaned
No,
up?
it's,
No.
no, I'm just
Oh.
telling you. See, you didn't even notice it's cleaned up.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll open the floor.
Just,
The next,
can
yeah, go ahead.
I bring up one point? We discussed something about stop signs and speed reductions in certain roads and so on. The procedure is what, Jim, as far as...
Well,
getting-
stop signs and speed reduction,
Yeah.
if the citizen give us a petition for the area and provide us that, stop signs, if it's a stop sign on a town road, the town has jurisdiction. If it's a county road or state road, either the county or the state has it. If they give the petition to the town, we'll just move it on to the proper agency that's got either county or state or, in our...
Town road is the same, speed reduction's same procedure?
Speed reduction for a town road, county road, or state road, all go to the state of New York, and what we do is we take the same petition and provide the information the state requesting the speed reduction. The latest we've had happen was that the state will provide us with a letter saying that they will do it at their convenience, but they would, if you want it done at your convenience, to hire a engineer to come in and make the study to make the determination what it is. Now, we haven't had very much success of late on speed reductions. It just hasn't
I'm
happened.
talking about on a town road.
Well, it's even town roads. You have to go. We let the state make the decision that the speed reduction's there.
Well, we got a serious situation, and one of them is Summers Drive, where there's no stop sign at the intersection as Summers Drive crosses the other road that comes in from the other direction, plus the speed zone basically is 55 miles an hour in there, which we know in no conceivable way can it be done. But there's little people pumping away on bikes and running all over, and parents are really concerned.
Can I, yeah, Ray.
I think that was brought up once before, and they came in with a petition on that, and the state looked at it, and their decision was that the roads were not built for any high speeds. They wouldn't lower the speed limit. They didn't feel that they were going to drive 55 anyway. I think I have that information someplace.
Would you dig that up for us?
I'll try to. And I think the stop signs, the New York State manual of traffic control that we go by tells you where to put a stop sign. I don't think that calls for a stop sign, but I'll look into it tomorrow.
There's some residents quite upset with these little guys
Well,
running
hard
all
because
over
the
across the
speed
road.
was lowered today, isn't
There's
it?
really no play area, and
really, I don't think anybody would be driving 55 in there, would they?
No, I don't think they would be.
And that's
but
what the
at
state
same
said,
time-
you know, there's no reason to lower the speed limit because the roads aren't conducive to the
But
high
you'll
speed.
look into the,
Yeah,
stop
what is there
signs.
to say,
Got something
what
else.
is there to say that if there's a sign reduction there and the person who's driving a car, say it's 35 or 25, shouldn't probably be over 25, to be honest with you.
But again, the state is the only one that we can't regulate that.
We can't regulate it.
We can't regulate.
We make the
speed.
request.
State is the only one that can do that.
I know, but can we ever make a request into the seriousness of this?
Let me tell you, I think it's been done, but let me look into that, Morris. I think I may have something on that.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
I'll check it out.
We've had so many petitions for speed limits to be lowered, none of them succeeded, especially this road right
Well,
here.
they did on Chase Road and they did down here.
Look at this road here. Teresa girl got hit right here and they wanted it lower and they couldn't.
Okay, but anybody else have any other thing up? Okay, next meeting will be September 13th, 1995 at 7:30, and work session will be the 7th at 7 o'clock. I'll open the floor to anyone who has any concerns. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. On that deed, there's Niagara Mohawk table and telephone going underneath the road. Is that gotta be on that deed?
Does their easement have to be on that deed?
Well, on a deed from anybody, you know, the deed is conveying a piece of property, whatever it is. If, again, it gets down to what kind of title examination does the town board want to have? What do you want to know about the title of the property? It's really up to the town board.
But
If,
can I interject? Don't we have a blanket thing for easements for? I thought we had a blanket thing with Niagara Mohawk and the telephone company for, and also the cable people. I thought we had a blanket easement on the highways that we own when we own it.
that the town is given.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but that may very well be.
Oh,
That it's just
let me inquire
an
about
agreement
that.
between the town and the utilities.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but that doesn't mean that the town doesn't have it.
Well, the reason I'm saying is I think somewhere along the line that somewhere that hits me is the fact that there's a on that Contel one we had not a year or so ago that was talking about the easements in the town, and it was talking about the fact that the town highways easements we had were inclusive of that. As long as it's a highway, that would be inclusive. I'm just thinking that that's what's happening. Once it's a town highway that you get into it, but I'll have Wally research that. We ought to know that, I guess.
Yeah, because if I get lucky and get it done before next meeting, I'd like to get it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, usually what happens, at least what I've seen in Onondaga County, is that the developer will grant the easements to the utilities and also grant the dedication of the road to the municipality.
Right.
That's commonly what I see.
Mm-hmm.
So, off the top of my head, I would say that it would be the developer who would give the easements to Niagara Mohawk, the phone company, and whatnot, because a lot of times they'll need to have something. It may be within the highway right away. It may be
Just a foot off.
maybe
Right.
something different. And again, a lot of times you have the owner owning up to the center of the road,
Yeah.
and there's no deed on record to the town or the county or whatever, and so they'll get easements from the owner, but they won't record them. On this one, it's a little bit different because the road is going to be actually conveyed to the town by deed.
I apologize, Wally. As you talk about it, I refreshed my memory on that. Yes. There's some old, on Route 3, there's some old easements that went out from the property owner because they used to go to the center of the road as far as, or whatever they went to anyway. I remember them being an argument. We'll look into that for you and determine what that is. I don't want it to be held up for you anyway.
Oh, they've been burying phone company lines off County Route 8 all the way down past Bobby Welch's. There's 2 burials that I'm aware of on both sides of County Line Road on town land. Now, they must have gotten some
Well,
right away.
And also, if it's a subdivision, planning board would get involved.
yeah.
And then they would have something that, they may have something to say about utilities and easements.
And the old roads, like he's talking about, the telephone company would come to usually the town highway and we give them an easement to bury their cable in our road. And Niagara Mohawk for gas sales come to get an easement to bury along our road.
Okay, on the road we own, on the road we own.
I don't have deeds for them, it's town roads.
No, I understand, but the roads, the title of the property is the town of Granby, and what you do is get an easement to work on the town of Granby road, right? Okay, a little confused. I'm sorry, why I shouldn't get in the legal stuff.
Jim, I have had a little experience on my road with Niagara Mohawk. They had to get permission from me, not from the town, to change poles, change the lines.
No, okay, we'll inquire on that one, Mr. Hoffman.
I can give them the right of way to do it, but it's gotta be on the deed too, once they're in the road. They're none of the road property, the town's property, it's road.
Okay, we'll check it out for you. Yes, sir.
Now, in regards to your country acres, you say that you're gonna notify these people of their violations.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do this?
It's in process now. The document was provided to the town clerk, and the town zoning officer will take and advise them the fact on paper that that has been filed and that they're in violation.
How long is this gonna take?
Wally, how long does it take to serve the notice on them?
However long it takes the person to serve the notice.
Okay.
I mean, that, that depends
Building
on,
inspector does it. The zoning officer does it. Okay.
but just so that there's no misunderstanding here, is that when the priors filed their application for special use permit, they reserved all of their rights. So they've reserved the right to claim that the property has been grandfathered in.
That's their claim.
Yes, that's their claim.
Well, it's not true.
Well,
Well,
that's another.
that's why they have-
That's why you're doing this.
Hearings and trials. I mean, it either is or it isn't.
Now, they have been notified before of violations.
And they responded to that.
They responded?
They responded to that. That's what the ZBA hearing was, to the fact that they were in violation, and they come to the hearing.
Before that, I'm talking about, they were talked to, and they
Well-
completely ignored everything that they've been told. They haven't done a thing. They don't intend to, I don't believe.
Well,
unless they're
I can't
forced to.
say that for them, because I can't say that for them, but they responded to the notice because they were in the ZBA asking for a special use permit for the existing park.
I understand that.
Okay.
But this situation has been going on for quite some time.
Yes,
You
it
know,
has.
it's been about 2.5 years
Maybe.
we've been into this, and it's got a little ridiculous. And
Well, that may be, but the circumstances is they responded, and they are now being served with the notice of violation as the findings of the ZBA on this last hearing.
all right. Now, suppose they don't do anything about it, how long is it gonna take to do anything about the situation?
Well, the notice will be given with so many days to take and correct it.
Do you have any idea how many days it's
I
gonna
don't
be?
have it myself.
Who does have it?
The zoning officer will take and carry out that.
In other words, I can get that information from the zoning
From
officer.
Steve Lund, yes.
All right.
Okay.
Because got anything to add to that?
Charlie, I've got the minutes on that meeting for David too.
Thank you. He got some minutes, but he sent them back. 'Cause
Yeah, they were wrong, and these are the corrections.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yeah, Bob.
Jim, have the new 1996 tax rates been issued yet? From the town, county, school?
1996?
Yeah, for the coming year.
Not, the county won't be done until after they have their budget hearing of December 15th, and the town's budget hearing deadline is the 15th or 20th of November. What's the 15th of November? And then they'll,
We'll have tentative rates in next month
yeah,
sometime. They're still,
yeah. 1996 rate, now the only school district will be, when they come up with their finalization and get ready to send their bills, they'll tell us, but we haven't got that yet, Bob.
Right, schools, that's September 1st, right?
Right. They've got to have a rate sometime now. They're going to send their bills out pretty quick. We haven't
But
We
the
haven't got
town
it.
hasn't got noticed yet what the rate is gonna be.
No.
I'm interested to see what the increase is gonna be.
I understand. You advised me of that 8.5% or whatever, what they were talking about for Fulton, which compounds to a higher apportionment rating here.
By the way, you brought up this WW2 dedication going on in Fulton this weekend. What?
The 19th.
Or next weekend, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Why isn't the town of Granby being represented
In what way?
in any of the festivities there?
Didn't get
Service.
inquired. We didn't get, the service, the veterans organizations are sponsoring it, okay? I haven't any request for town of Granby in any manner at all. Matter of fact, that's what I'm saying. I've got a couple $100, $300 here that we probably could take, and I don't have, the town has $200 or $300 they could take and probably fund something for them in terms of revenue, but we weren't requested to provide any activity. You've got citizens of the town that are veterans that are participating, yes.
Well, the city of Fulton dignitaries are gonna be involved in some way or another, aren't they?
I don't know. There's no requests to the town of Granby that I've had.
I think anything regarding veterans, World War II, should encompass everybody, all of the towns around here.
Well,
And myself as a veteran, I would think Granby ought to be represented there somehow or another,
well,
instead of just a check.
that may be, but what I'm getting at, there's no request for the town representation being there, and I talked to the chairman of that group that, I've talked to him a couple, 3 times, and they have been pretty well occupied with the guest list that they've got coming from, from their dignitaries and how they're going to take care of them and the preparations that they've had on the property over there. The city of Fulton is highly involved because they're making the money investment for the for the reconstruction of that driveway down on the highway down on the lakefront. Plus also they're renaming that highway, and also they're paying for some of the renovations, I take it, that's got to be done at the recreation or at the Veterans Building over there, the War Memorial.
You don't feel anyone from the board ought to be...
I have no objection to anyone from the board, but I haven't requested to do that, and I wouldn't impose that. I wouldn't impose that. I'm not imposing upon their program. It's a veterans program.
It's a private program, isn't it, Jim?
Well, it's the veterans organization is coordinating this. And
Isn't
whatever-
Kenny Patrick organizing it?
Yeah, the veterans group.
Well, he hasn't got the city, he's doing it, not the city, right?
Well, yeah, well, I'm not, I don't want to get in that kind of a who's doing it. I'm just saying, the chairman is Ken Patrick.
With having fireworks.
Well, the point is, whatever, that's it.
No, I'm just saying that I would think the town of Granby, in some way or another, ought to participate in something.
Well, that's why I'm suggesting, under the tourism money, we have a legitimate reason for providing some funds. I know that I talked to Mr. Patrick, and his concern was he had X number of people he had to feed, and funding that way would be beneficial to him. That's the only way that I have any relationship to it, other than my personal opinion.
Two other things. One is, you mentioned about the Lake Committee getting another $50,000. Is anything going to be done? I mean, it seems like money's been going in for more studies and...
Yeah, I just give a statement as to what was happening with the money we've spent so far with CT Mail for the well, the whole shoreline on the financial impact of development down there, and a method to maintain that development so that the city doesn't have to provide the funding for it. And that feasibility study is being done. Hopefully it will take and provide the supporting needs to get some activities in that would do the thing. I don't want to name any. A franchise coming in there would take and have a certain area. They would lease the property because the city owns it. They would lease the property for X number of years, provide their facility, and take on the responsibility of a certain part of the lakefront that they would have access to, so that the city itself wouldn't have to take and do the maintenance of it. And that's the primary concern of the Lake Committee, was that if we do the shoreline activity, that puts emphasis on the lake too, because now people become more obvious to the lake. And that's the only reason this money up front there is being done. The other money that's been spent with the $50,000 that's coming down, I'm not sure exactly how that's proposed to be budgeted or anything like that. I can't tell you. Yes?
Yeah, what part of North Bay, do we own any of that?
Town of Granby doesn't own any of it, but Town of Granby assesses everything to the west of the bowling alley. Just about there's a fence there. That fence is the city in town line right there.
The fence that goes in the back of the bowling alley?
Yeah, that is about
the gate.
That gate is the boundary of the town of Granby, city of Fulton, particularly right there. The town of Granby don't own property there. The town of Granby has taxpayers in that area, which is the city of Fulton.
Jim, you're one of them, aren't you?
What, in the city?
Does your land
city?
go down to the river?
Well, Little Lake, but not.
I mean, down to the lake?
Yeah, but not into what he's talking about. He's talking about North Bay, along where it is in North Bay.
Well, around the lake is all.
North Bay is in the town of Granby.
North Bay is in the town of Granby, yes. And the city of Fulton is a taxpayer though, and they pay some value.
We don't pay nothing there?
Oh yeah, they got a $200,000 assessment on the property.
Okay, why is it that, I'm a taxpayer of Granby, I wanna launch my boat, I gotta pay $2. These guys with these ski jets, they can go down back to school and do it for nothing. Why is that?
Well, because I don't know why, we don't have control of this area where the ski jets are going. That's in the city of Fulton proper. The city of Fulton has control of the shoreline at North Bay, because
Why did they lock the gate?
That's an interesting question, because she get called.
They wouldn't let us go in there and fish.
Well, I know, and I called up and we got the gate.
Well, I called
open,
Rofi too.
We get a lot of mad fishermen down.
but the whole point is if you can tell me why the gate's locked during fishing season, and why they can have a boat launch on one place they charge for it, and have another boat launch they don't charge for it, you give me that straightened away out.
I know why.
But I understand the frustration, I understand the concern, but the area of responsibility for management and taking care of it is the city of Fulton, because it belongs to the city of Fulton. And that was parcel that belonged to the Case people that was sold to the city of Fulton back maybe 15, 20 years ago. And they bought the thing that there was I guess it was $100,000 purchase of that all that remnants behind the bowling alley and along the area in Bullhead Point. All the Lake Committee is trying to do, if I can just get into that, is they're concerned about the lake itself and the kind of things it's having there. But the area of concern we have is if you're going to take, and it's going to be long-term, whatever you do with the lake, whatever that's going to be. The shoreline, though, should be utilized in a manner different than what this may be. I mean, I'm not making that decision, that's not mine, but the presentation we got is to the town and to the city is it would be changed and be more adapted to more uses. Boat launch, swim area, walkway, pavilion at North Bay, at Bullhead Point, stuff like that. That's the intent of the study we got. But to try to get it so the city doesn't have to pick up the cost of the development of that infrastructure or them structures, we're trying to have someone else come in. That's why we're doing the money on the feasibility for the impact. If you make an investment there, how long would it take you to get back, and what kind of impact it has?
Yeah, but they got a grant for that North Bay, or Bullhead Point, didn't they?
We got money.
The city of Fulton got it.
No, the city of Fulton didn't get it. It come to the Lake Committee, who is joint between the city and Fulton.
Okay.
You've got a $20,000 grant there. You got several $1,000s from the Dean Food, and then you have this new $50,000 grant, and you've had some grants before that. Without being pessimistic, the lake on a scale compared to Onondaga Lake and Prairie and so on, is pretty low down. But we've really accomplished quite a bit if you look at it. If the results of it, I wasn't here for the Stevenson beach days that they talk about when there used to be roller skating rinks, a carousel and all that stuff, and the baseball fields and all that. I wasn't here for that, but I talked to people who were. And the trolley track was down there. The big bands of the time were in Fulton. It was quite a place in its own right. This is trying to bring something back. I don't know if we'll make it or not, but hopefully it will. And so, but we had this comment a year or two ago when the Lake Committee didn't have any money. They were concerned about money, how they're going to raise even $2,000, right? Now they have some money. Now they're concerned about how they spend it so they don't get caught in a situation where, are we doing the right thing with it? And it's been a very delicate situation, but it's coming around, and I'm hoping to be in the near future to see some results from it. And I think they're going to be beneficial because from Bullhead Point, I mean, you got a couple 100,000, 300,000 population within an hour or 2 hours away. So you've got some real potential if you develop the right thing. What it's going to be like is really in the jurisdiction of the city.
Jim, what was that big master plan they showed us?
That's part of that. That's part of it, yeah.
Wasn't that a study too?
Yeah, that was an initial study that was funded and paid for.
What happened to that study?
Well, that's what we're doing. We're supplementing the plans of it with the documentation behind it to get people interested to invest in it. If you're going to have a company come, and I don't want to name names because I don't get into that. I don't know who it would be, but if you're going to have a company comes in that you see on TV is going to come up and put a stand up there or a building up there to sell food, then we're doing. I think the activities going on will take and help produce that because you're giving them all the information they need to take and look to the future and say this is going to be beneficial. What's going to come of it, I don't know.
Well, the frozen food's already donated to Bullhead Point, right?
Yep.
All right, and by the meeting I went to, Bullhead Point, I can't see why they can't start at Bullhead Point and what their plans are.
Well, that's what.
Why wait for the whole? Why don't you start with Bullhead Point with those plans they have?
Why don't they
They
take
are.
the lake first and then take care of the...
Well, that's.
If you spend any more money on...
The lake itself, the lake itself is a rather expensive operation to get it done.
No, I heard through a good source, now you tell me if I'm wrong, that they had a person willing to dredge that for just the dirt.
Yep, that's true.
And they
Someone
said no.
Yep, someone did that. Someone made that offer to do that and do this and all that. The problem with, that was
He's gonna make a
legitimate.
buck and they're not. That's the
Well,
problem.
no, I don't know if that's the case, but they would
Why
have
did
done
you turn them down
that.
to dredge it?
I didn't. That presentation was made to the city of Fulton at one time. That wasn't made to this group that we got, that we were part of with the city of Fulton. I don't know if the soil you get out of there would be beneficial, but I'm going to tell you what, if it is, this report should take and tell you it is, and they can tell you how much you're going to make if you start bailing up.
We did 4 or 5 tests now. How many more we gonna have to tell you what's wrong with that place?
Keep testing.
No, we aren't telling you what's wrong with it. We already know what's wrong with it. We're telling you how we're going to kill it. We have. I wish I had the other people here that could talk to you about it.
More money in the lake for nothing.
Well, I'd be glad to make this copy I've got here available to you after the meeting. It tells you what we're doing. I have no problem with that. We can make some copies.
Because I fish there and
Yeah.
I know a lot of other guys would love to go there.
Oh, sure. And really, some of the people that fish there have a secret place. There's some good fishing, right? And so you go with it.
Go there because it's handy.
Yeah.
But if you can't get in when the gate's locked, what the hell good is it?
Well, I understand that, and that was the cities. I don't understand either. And the problem is, I don't want to say too much about it because I don't know who owns the road. So.
You get some of these old farmers and they say dredge it because all that muck on the bottom is blocking up all these here streams coming in the lake, and that's all you need.
Behind the school.
That's all you need is a good cleanup job, and they got these engineers studying, and we're spending, am I on TV?
But what I really would like to take
We're wasting money studying, just clean it out with whoever wants to volunteer.
His comment was my house would be by the city school, and that would give me a west view, right? That'd be great. Sunset, no, okay.
Hey, Jim, one more positive note here. I don't know if anybody has noticed, but Ray's a little bashful on some of his accomplishments, but Cowpath Road I don't know if anybody's been up there lately, but the highway department did one heck of a job working on that road and making it usable. And the
Well,
residents up there have to be happy.
We're still in the process of it.
It is, and if I'm correct, it's the last town road that's dirt, right, that you're onto. I don't know when that's gonna be surfaced, but the point of it is that, the thing of it is that what happens is you've got, all the roads that belong to the town, they're responsible to the town are surfaced, and that's, except for that one road, and that will be in a few years if everybody agrees to pay for it. But the whole point of it is that's quite an accomplishment, and that area he was into was a very heavy, wet area to go through.
Okefenokee
Yeah.
Swamp.
There's only a couple of roads that we've got, there's 2 or 3 roads in the town that have been abandoned a long time ago, that when I was on the board in 68, 70, like Rural Road, we abandoned it at that time, made that official, a couple other ones, and it's legitimate to abandon it with nobody on them. If someone wants to come in and now wants to do them, they've got to build a road to it, which is beneficial to town. Peatbed Road, right, was abandoned, right. Anybody else have anything else before I close? Or ask to close the meeting? No other discussion? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that the meeting get adjourned.
I second.
All in favor?
Vince isn't
Mo-
here tonight.
Closed, and would you like a copy of this? Okay.
Vince isn't here tonight.
Could you run a couple copies on?
Charlie?
How many?
Oh, make